It was a normal Tuesday morning. People all over Earth were doing their usual things. Kids went to school. Grown-ups went to work. No one knew their world was about to change forever. Suddenly, the sky got dark. Really dark. People looked up and gasped. Huge alien ships blocked out the sun. These weren't little flying saucers. They were massive ships, each one as big as a city. In New York, a hot dog seller named Joe dropped his tongs. "What in the world?" he said. His customers forgot about their food and stared at the sky, mouths open wide. In Tokyo, office workers pressed their faces against windows. The alien ships were so big, they made skyscrapers look like toys. All around the world, it was the same. Paris, Cairo, Sydney, everywhere. People stopped what they were doing. They couldn't believe their eyes. Then came the noise. A deep, loud hum that made windows shake and cars rattle. Dogs started barking. Babies cried. The hum got louder and louder until people had to cover their ears. On TV screens, phones, and computers, a face appeared. It wasn't a human face. It had purple skin, big black eyes, and no nose. It was the face of alien Empress Zilarax. "People of Earth," she said in a voice that boomed everywhere, "your planet now belongs to the Ziraxian Empire. Bow down to me, or be destroyed." People screamed. Some ran to their homes. Others just stood there, too shocked to move. World leaders tried to talk to the aliens. They sent messages saying, "We come in peace," but the aliens didn't care. Zilarax's face disappeared from screens. Then the attack began. Huge beams of light shot down from the alien ships. When they hit buildings, the buildings exploded. Cars flipped over. Trees caught fire. In London, Big Ben crashed to the ground. In Egypt, the pyramids turned to dust. The alien weapons were so strong, they could destroy anything. Army tanks rolled into cities, but their bullets just bounced off the alien ships. Fighter jets flew up to attack, but the aliens swatted them away like flies. People ran for their lives. Moms carried crying kids. Dads tried to protect their families. But where could they hide? The aliens were everywhere. Underground, in secret bunkers, world leaders met. "What can we do?" they asked each other. No one had an answer. Earth's best weapons looked like toys compared to the alien tech. As cities burned and people ran scared, something strange happened. In different parts of the world, the ground began to shake, but it wasn't the aliens causing it. Giant doors hidden under the land and sea started to open. Most people didn't know these doors existed. They had been kept secret for years. Out of these doors came Earth's last hope. But that's a story for the next part. For now, as night fell on the first day of the attack, things looked bad for Earth. Empress Zilarax's voice boomed out again. "You have one Earth day to surrender, or we will destroy every city on your planet." People huddled in basements and shelters. They were scared and didn't know what to do. The whole world held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Little did the aliens know, Earth had a big surprise waiting. But would it be enough to save the planet? Only time would tell. While aliens attacked Earth, something amazing was happening underground. Deep below the ground, in secret bases all over the world, humans were getting ready to fight back. These bases were huge, so big you could fit entire cities inside them. They had been built in secret over many years. Only a few people knew about them. In one of these bases, under the ocean near Hawaii, Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen stood in front of a massive window. But she wasn't looking at fish. She was looking at spaceships. Big ones. "Are we ready?" she asked a man next to her. "Yes, Admiral," he said. "All 200 supercarriers are good to go." Sarah nodded. She had been waiting for this day for a long time. These weren't normal spaceships. They were supercarriers, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built before. They were as long as 50 football fields and as tall as the tallest skyscrapers. Inside the carriers, Thousands of people were busy. Pilots checked their fighter jets. Engineers made sure all systems were working. Soldiers prepared for battle. One young pilot, Jake, was nervous. He looked at his fighter jet and gulped. "I've only ever flown this in simulators," he said to his friend Maria. Maria patted him on the back. "Don't worry," she said. "We've trained for this. We're ready." In another part of the base, scientists were working on special weapons, lasers that could cut through alien shields, missiles that could follow alien ships anywhere. Dr. Xu, the lead scientist, held up a small device. "This," she said, "can shut down any alien tech within a mile." Her team cheered. All around the world, in hidden bases under deserts, mountains, and oceans, the same thing was happening. Humans were preparing their secret fleet. But it wasn't just about ships and weapons. There was also a plan. In a control room, Admiral Chen looked at a big screen. It showed all 200 supercarriers spread out around the world. Each one was hidden, waiting for the right moment. "Remember," she told her officers, "we only get one shot at this. We need to surprise them." The officers nodded. They knew the plan. Wait for the aliens to think they've won, then strike all at once. Outside, the alien attacks continued. Cities burned. People were scared. But they didn't know about the secret that was about to save them. In the base cafeteria, Jake and Maria sat with other pilots. They tried to eat, but everyone was too excited and nervous. "What if our ships don't work against their tech?" one pilot asked. An older pilot smiled. "Trust me," he said, "these ships can do things you've never dreamed of." He was right. The supercarriers weren't just big. They had tech that was years ahead of anything the public knew about. Shields that could stop any weapon. Engines that could cross the galaxy in days. As the hours passed, tension grew. Everyone knew that soon they would face the aliens. Win or lose, the fate of Earth was in their hands. Admiral Chen walked through the base, checking everything one last time. She stopped to talk to nervous young soldiers, giving them courage. "Remember," she told them, "the aliens think we're weak. They have no idea what's coming." In her private room, Sarah looked at a photo of her family. "I'll keep you safe," she whispered. Then she put on her uniform and walked to the command center. As she entered, everyone stood up. The room was quiet. Sarah looked at the big screen. It showed the alien ships above Earth. She took a deep breath. This was the moment they had prepared for. Years of secret work, all for this day. "Send the signal," she said. "It's time to show the aliens what humans can really do." All around the world, in hidden bases, pilots ran to their ships. Engineers fired up massive engines. The ground began to shake as huge doors started to open. The human secret weapon was about to be revealed. But would it be enough to save Earth? The next few hours would decide the fate of humanity. As the supercarriers prepared to launch, Admiral Chen had one thought. "Empress Zilarax, you're in for a big surprise." The aliens thought they had won. Their huge ships floated above Earth's cities. Empress Zilarax sat on her throne, smiling. She was sure humans would give up soon. But she was wrong. Very wrong. In New York, people pointed at the sky and screamed. But they weren't pointing at alien ships. A huge door was opening in the ocean. Water splashed everywhere. Then, something massive rose up. It was a human supercarrier. It was as big as the alien ships. People cheered as it floated into the sky. The same thing happened all over the world. In the Amazon jungle, trees shook as a carrier rose up. In the Sahara Desert, sand flew everywhere as another appeared. Even in Antarctica, ice cracked open to reveal a massive ship. Alien soldiers on their ships looked confused. "What are those?" they asked each other. They tried to scan the human ships but couldn't. The supercarriers had special shields. In her ship, Empress Zilarax jumped off her throne. "What's happening?" she yelled. Her advisors looked scared. They didn't know what to say. Inside the supercarriers, it was all action. Pilots jumped into their fighters. Admiral Chen's voice came over the speakers. "This is it, people. Let's show them what Earth can do." Jake, the young pilot, took a deep breath. His hands were shaking as he started his fighter. Next to him, Maria gave him a thumbs up. "We've got this," she said. The carrier doors opened. Hundreds of fighter ships zoomed out. They were faster and more agile than anything the aliens had seen before. At first, the aliens laughed. They thought their big ships could easily beat the small human fighters. They fired their weapons, expecting to see the human ships explode. But nothing happened. The human shields were too strong. Then the humans fired back. Laser beams shot out from the fighters and supercarriers. When they hit the alien ships, huge explosions lit up the sky. In London, people came out of hiding to watch. They cheered as they saw alien ships falling from the sky. It was the same all over the world. Humans were fighting back, and they were winning. Jake flew his fighter right at a big alien ship. He was scared, but he remembered his training. He pressed the button, and a special missile shot out. It went right through the alien shield and blew up the ship's engine. "I did it," Jake shouted. Maria's voice came over the radio. "Great shot, Jake." On her ship, Empress Silarax couldn't believe what she was seeing. "How is this possible?" she screamed. "They're just humans." Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of her supercarrier. She watched as her fleet took down alien ship after alien ship. "We're not just humans," she said quietly. "We're humans who were ready." The battle raged on. In the sky, it looked like the biggest fireworks show ever. Human fighters zipped between big alien ships, firing lasers and missiles. Some alien ships tried to run away, but the human supercarriers were fast. They chased the aliens down and destroyed them. On the ground, people danced in the streets. They hugged each other and cried happy tears. Earth was saved. After hours of fighting, it was over. The big alien ships were gone. Some had been destroyed. Others had run away. Admiral Chen's voice boomed out from all the supercarriers. "People of Earth, we have won." Cheers erupted all over the planet. In New York, Joe the hot dog seller danced with his customers. In Tokyo, office workers threw papers in the air. In every city, it was like a big party. Jake landed his fighter back on the supercarrier. As soon as he got out, Maria gave him a big hug. "We did it," she said. All around them, pilots and crew were celebrating. But it wasn't over yet. Admiral Chen knew that Empress Silarax was still out there, and she would be very, very angry. As the sun set on Earth's big day of victory, Chen looked out at the stars. "What will you do now, Empress?" she wondered. The battle was won, but the war might just be beginning. The big space battle wasn't over. Empress Silarax was mad, really mad. She called all her ships from across the galaxy. Soon, the sky was full of alien ships again. There were thousands of them. On Earth, people got scared again. They had just started celebrating. Now it looked like the aliens were back, stronger than ever. Admiral Chen didn't panic. She knew this might happen. She called all the human supercarriers together. They formed a big circle around Earth, like a shield. "This is it," Chen told her crews. "The real battle starts now." Inside his fighter, Jake felt nervous again. "There's so many of them," he said to Maria over the radio. "Yeah, but we're better," Maria replied. "Remember your training." Empress Silarax's face appeared on screens all over Earth. She looked angry. "Humans," she shouted. "You got lucky once. It won't happen again. Surrender now." Admiral Chen's face replaced Silarax on the screens. "We will never surrender," she said calmly. "Earth is our home. We will defend it." With a scream of rage, Silarax ordered her ships to attack. The sky lit up with alien weapons fire. It looked like a storm of light heading towards Earth. But the human supercarriers were ready. They turned on their special shields. The alien weapons hit the shields and fizzled out. It looked like fireworks, but nothing got through. "Our turn," said Admiral Chen. She pressed a button. Suddenly, all 200 supercarriers lit up. They fired their main weapons together. It was like 200 suns had appeared in space. The beams joined together into one huge blast. The blast hit the alien fleet. Hundreds of ships exploded at once. The explosions were so bright, people on Earth could see them like new stars in the sky. Empress Zilarax couldn't believe her eyes. A third of her fleet was gone in seconds. "How?" she screamed. "How can they be so strong?" The human fighters zoomed out next. Jake and Maria led a group straight at a big alien ship. The aliens fired at them, but the human ships were too fast. They dodged everything. Jake pressed his fire button. A special missile shot out. It didn't explode. Instead, it stuck to the alien ship and started to glow. "What's happening?" an alien captain asked. Then his ship's lights went out. The engines stopped. The ship started to drift in space. All over the battlefield, the same thing was happening. The human missiles were shutting down alien ships without destroying them. Remember, Admiral Chen had told them, "We don't need to kill if we don't have to." Empress Zilarax was furious. She ordered her biggest ship to ram the human supercarriers. "If our weapons don't work, we'll crush them," she yelled. The huge alien ship headed straight for Admiral Chen's carrier. It looked like a giant space hammer about to smash them. But Chen was ready. "Activate the gravity well," she ordered. A big beam shot out from the supercarrier. It hit the alien ship, but didn't damage it. Instead, the ship started to slow down. It was like it was trying to move through thick honey. "What's happening?" Zilarax demanded. Her ship captains looked confused. "We can't move," they said. The human supercarrier had created a space where gravity was super strong. The alien ships were trapped. Jake and other fighters flew around the trapped alien ships. They used their special missiles to shut down more and more of them. In just a few hours, it was over. Most of the alien ships were drifting in space, powerless. The rest had run away. Admiral Chen's face appeared on screens again. "Empress Zilarax," she said, "you have lost. Surrender now." On her ship, Zilarax fell back into her throne. She couldn't believe it. Her mighty empire, beaten by humans. As human ships surrounded the Empress's ship, people on Earth cheered again. This time, they knew it was really over. Jake landed his fighter and jumped out. Maria ran up and hugged him. All around them, pilots and crew were celebrating. "We did it," Jake said, still not quite believing it. "We really did it." Admiral Chen watched from her control room. She allowed herself a small smile. Earth was safe, but she knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had shown it was ready for the big galaxy out there. "What's next?" an officer asked her. Chen looked at the stars twinkling beyond the defeated alien fleet. "Now," she said, "we go and explore." Empress Zilarax was not happy. Not happy at all. Her big purple face was even more purple with anger. She stomped around her throne room, breaking things. "How dare they?" she yelled. "How dare those tiny humans beat me?" Her advisors cowered in corners. They were scared. They had never seen the Empress this angry before. On her big screen, Zilarax watched human ships towing her defeated fleet. Her mighty warships looked like sad space puppies being taken to the pound. "This is so embarrassing," she muttered. Meanwhile, on the human ships, things were very different. Everyone was happy and excited. They had beaten the big bad aliens. Admiral Chen was on a video call with Earth's leaders. They all had big smiles. "What do we do with the alien ships?" a leader asked. Chen thought for a moment. "We'll study them," she said. "Learn their secrets. Make sure they can never threaten us again." Back on Zilarax's ship, things were getting worse. Some alien soldiers started fighting each other. "It's your fault we lost," One big alien yelled. "No, it's your fault," another shouted back. Soon, there was a big alien brawl. Purple fists were flying everywhere. Zilarax watched and got even angrier. "Stop it," she screamed, but nobody listened. Just then, a small alien ran in. He looked nervous. Your Highness," he squeaked. "What?" Zilarax snapped. "Some of our ships, they're joining the humans." Zilarax's jaw dropped. What? It was true. Some alien captains had decided humans were pretty cool. They were tired of Zilarax always being mean. So they called Admiral Chen and asked if they could switch sides. Chen was surprised but happy. "Of course," she told them. "We welcome all peaceful aliens." When Zilarax heard this, she had a total meltdown. She jumped up and down, screaming and pulling at her tentacles. "Traitors," she yelled. "I'll destroy them all." But she couldn't. Her weapons didn't work anymore. The humans had turned them off with their clever tech. On Earth, people watched all this on TV. They couldn't believe how childish the alien queen was acting. "And we were scared of her," a kid in New York said, laughing. Even some of Zilarax's loyal aliens were starting to doubt her. They whispered to each other when she wasn't looking. "Maybe the humans aren't so bad," one said. "Yeah, they beat us fair and square," another agreed. Zilarax noticed the whispers. She didn't like it. Not one bit. "Listen up," she yelled. Everyone went quiet. "We are the mighty Zyraxian Empire. We do not give up. We will have our revenge." But her words didn't have the same effect as before. Some aliens rolled their eyes. Others sighed. One brave alien raised his hand. Your Highness, maybe we should try talking to the humans instead." Zilarax's eyes bulged. "Talk? Teal'c? We do not talk. We conquer." But more aliens were nodding. They liked the idea of talking. Zilarax thought she was losing control. She needed to do something big to show she was still in charge. "Fine," she shouted. "We'll talk. But I'll do the talking. And if they don't give us what we want, we'll. She couldn't think of a good threat. Everyone waited. "We'll do something really, really mean," she finished lamely. Nobody looked very impressed. Meanwhile, Admiral Chen was preparing for the meeting with Zilarax. She knew the alien queen would be angry. "Be ready for anything," she told her team. "But remember, we want peace if possible." As the human ships approached Zilarax's ship for the big talk, excitement built on both sides. Humans were curious to see the alien queen up close. Aliens were nervous about what would happen. And Zilarax, she was still stomping around, trying to think of a way to look tough. "Maybe if I bring my biggest gun," she thought. Then she remembered her guns didn't work anymore. Ugh. As the ships got closer, everyone held their breath. The next few hours would decide the future of both species. Would there be peace, or would Zilarax's tantrum start another fight? Admiral Chen straightened her uniform. "Let's go meet an Empress," she said to her team. The stage was set for the biggest diplomatic meeting in Earth's history, and nobody knew how it would end. The big meeting was about to start. Humans and aliens were nervous. They set up a special room on a neutral ship for the talks. Admiral Chen walked in first. She looked calm and confident. Her team followed, carrying tablets and papers. Then came Empress Zilarax. She tried to look scary, but it didn't work. Her purple face was puffy from crying. Her tentacles were all tangled. "Let's get this over with," Zilarax grumbled. They sat at a big round table, humans on one side, aliens on the other. In the middle was a weird machine. It helped everyone understand each other's languages. Admiral Chen spoke first. "Welcome, Empress. We're here to find peace." Zilarax snorted. "Peace? After you've humiliated me." Chen stayed calm. "We didn't want to fight. We just defended our home." "Your home," Zilarax laughed. Earth is just a tiny ball of dirt. Some of Chen's team looked angry, but Chen raised her hand to calm them. It may be small to you, Chen said, but it's everything to us. Zilarax rolled her eyes. Whatever. Here's what I want. Give us half of Earth, and we'll leave you alone. The humans gasped. Chen shook her head. That's not possible, Empress. Earth is not ours to give away. Fine. Zilarax shouted. Then we'll take it all. She tried to slam her fist on the table, but she missed and hit the translation machine instead. VZZZT. The machine sparked and smoked. Now look what you did, Chen said. Me? It was your fault. Zilarax yelled back. Without the machine, they couldn't understand each other. The room erupted in chaos. Humans and aliens shouted in their own languages. Just then, a young human scientist raised her hand. I have an idea, she said quietly. Nobody heard her at first, but Chen noticed and made everyone be quiet. Go ahead, Dr. Li, Chen said. Dr. Li pulled out a small device. It's a prototype universal translator, she explained. Maybe it can help. Chen nodded. Give it a try. Dr. Li turned on the device. It made a soft humming noise. Can everyone understand me? She asked. To everyone's surprise, both humans and aliens nodded yes. Great, Chen said. Now, let's start over. But Zilarax was still grumpy. It doesn't matter if we can talk. I still want Earth. Chen thought for a moment. Then she had an idea. Empress, why do you want Earth so badly? She asked. Zilarax looked surprised. Nobody had asked her that before. Well, because it's there, she said. I'm an Empress. I'm supposed to conquer things. Chen nodded. I understand. But what if there was something better than conquering? Zilarax looked confused. Better than conquering. Like what? Like exploring together, Chen said. There's a whole galaxy out there. Why fight over one planet when we could discover new ones? This made Zilarax think. Exploring does sound fun. And Chen added, you'd be the first Empress in your history to make peace with a new species. That's pretty impressive. Zilarax's eyes lit up. Ooh, I like being the first to do things. The talks went on for hours. There were arguments and disagreements, but slowly they started to find common ground. Zilarax agreed to leave Earth alone. In return, humans would share some of their technology. But not the weapons, Chen insisted. Those stay with us. Zilarax pouted but agreed. They also decided to form a galactic council. Humans and aliens would work together to explore space. As the meeting ended, Chen and Zilarax shook hands. Well, hand and tentacle. You know, Zilarax said, you humans aren't so bad. For tiny dirt creatures. Chen laughed. And you aliens aren't so scary. For big purple squids. They both chuckled. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. As they left the room, reporters from Earth were waiting. Admiral Chen. How did it go? They shouted. Chen smiled. We have peace, she said, and a new adventure ahead of us. The news spread quickly. All over Earth, people cheered. The war was over. A new age of galactic friendship was beginning. Back on her ship, Zilarax looked out at the stars. Maybe being friends is better than being conquerors, she thought. And so, the greatest diplomatic meeting in Earth's history ended not with a bang, but with a handshake and a laugh. 1 year had passed since the big space battle. Things had changed a lot. Humans and aliens were now friends. Well, mostly. On a shiny new space station, Admiral Chen was giving a tour to Empress Zilarax. The station was huge. It floated in space between Earth and the Moon. And this is the main control room, Chen said, showing Zilarax a big room full of screens and buttons. Zilarax's eyes were wide. Ooh, what does this big red button do? she asked, reaching out. Chen quickly moved Zilorax's tentacle away. That's the emergency alarm. Please don't touch it. Zilorax pouted. You humans are no fun. Just then, Jake and Maria walked in. They were now captains of their own ships. Admiral, Empress, they said, saluting. At ease, Chen said with a smile. How are the flying lessons going? Jake grinned. Great. Some of the alien pilots are really getting the hang of our ships. Maria nodded. Yeah, and we're learning a lot about their technology too. Zilorax beamed with pride. Of course, my pilots are the best in the galaxy. Chen raised an eyebrow. Second best, you mean? Oh, you. Zilorax said, playfully swatting Chen with a tentacle. They all laughed. It was strange to think that a year ago, they were trying to destroy each other. The tour continued. They visited the science labs, where human and alien scientists worked together. In one lab, they were studying a weird glowing space rock. What's that? Zilorax asked. A scientist looked up. We're not sure. We found it on a distant moon. It seems to be alive. Zilorax leaned in close. Suddenly, the rock spat goo at her face. Ah! She screamed, jumping back. Everyone else tried not to laugh. Maybe we should move on, Chen suggested, hiding a smile. Next, they visited the space dock. Huge ships were being built. Some were human designs, others alien, and some were a mix of both. These ships will take us to the stars, Chen said proudly. Zilorax nodded. Yes, there's so much to explore. I can't wait. As they walked, Chen noticed something odd. Empress, are you shorter? Zilorax blushed purple. Oh, yes. Turns out, all that angry stomping was making me taller. Now that I'm not angry all the time, I'm shrinking back to normal size. Chen patted her on the shoulder. Well, I think you look great. They ended the tour in the station's garden. It was a big room full of plants from Earth and alien worlds. The air smelled sweet and fresh. It's beautiful, Zilorax said softly. Chen nodded. It reminds us of what we're protecting. Life in all its forms. As they stood there, a group of kids ran by. Some were human, some alien. They were all laughing and playing together. Now that's a sight I never thought I'd see, Chen said. Zilorax agreed. If you had told me a year ago that our children would be friends, I would have laughed in your face. Just then, one of the alien kids tripped and fell. A human girl quickly helped him up. Are you okay? The girl asked. The alien kid nodded. Thanks, Emily. Zilorax watched this with wonder. You know, Chen, I think I like this better than conquering. Chen smiled. Me too, Zilorax. Me too. As they were about to leave, Zilorax suddenly remembered something. Oh, I almost forgot. I brought a gift. She pulled out a small box. Inside was a weird, wobbling blob. It's a pet from my home world, Zilorax explained. I thought it could be the station's mascot. Chen looked at the blob. It burped and changed color. Thanks. It's lovely. Zilorax beamed. I knew you'd like it. As they walked back to the main area, Chen thought about how much had changed. Enemies had become friends. Fear had turned to curiosity. The future looked bright. So, Chen said, ready for our first joint mission to explore the Andromeda Galaxy. Zilorax's eyes lit up. You bet. Race you there. Chen laughed. You're on. As they shook hands. And tentacles. Both knew that this was just the beginning. Humans and aliens, together in space. Who knew what adventures awaited them among the stars? The blob mascot burped again, turning a happy shade of pink. Even it seemed excited for the future. And so, as the space station orbited Earth, a new chapter in galactic history began. It was going to be quite a ride.